teams come out here, we are seeing, first I noticed Lord Esper on that charger, and then we see a Splash, Kensa's machine, and Enzap on the side of Nice Hat, and then the other side we do see Crim on that blue guys like I mentioned, but actually Joke going to be on the Splash this time, and a Kensa machine of their own and Enzap of their own as well.
Yeah, no, these are just incredibly similar comps. So overall, good game plans coming forward, but seeing the difference those Glugas make is going to be interesting, but it's going to have to happen after these lives as we see a total team wipe already.
Yeah, complete team wipe. I mean, Achilles here starting to push up, immediately taking the snipe position and using this bomb rush. I like that he's using this bomb rush just to get map control. That's really important to make sure that you have. So Achilles pushing up here, gonna act aggressively, is gonna get called out though, but that was a good stall tactic for them as their teammates are riding the tower and did get past that first checkpoint.
Like one thing we're already beginning to see is the value of just trying to keep pressure from getting people into position, regardless of getting your ink down, just because it's so important, just to make sure there are just less squids in the way.
Yeah, that is really, really important. Just making sure you get that map control. And we didn't necessarily highlight it there, but Crim getting a really nice push-ins with that inkjet, allowing their teammates to finally push up here into mid. Crim did go down in doing that, but their teammates have finally been in a position to get out of their spawn and start pushing up here. So we're seeing Joke here just carefully painting around, making sure that they are waiting for their teammates. And Joke is going to pop this bomb rush to maybe potentially get some pick or at least get some map control. Does get a pick with that main weapon and is going to push up. I love the teammates, the team coordination here as we're seeing Dreas, Joke, and Crim push up to just immediately push up and add that aggression.
That was a really aggressive push. I'm glad you highlighted that because we saw just how frequently they will press forward, specials or not, and the pressure's not stopping at any time soon. We already see the tower make the first checkpoint, so that retaliation is beginning, and the rest of Chalk just staying forward, making sure that tower has safe passage as they try to surpass that 46-point mark.
Yeah, Chalk is in reach of the lead, and they do get the lead by 2 points. So they are backing. Okay, I love this. They're backing up off the tower. They know that they got the lead. They know that they don't need to push it if the other team is pushing into them as much as they have been. So they're regrouping here. They're just keeping the tower and juggling it here as best as they can because they know that they have the lead. Now on the other side, we're seeing Lord Esper using this bomb rush. Does get a pick with that, but is called out by, I believe that was a bomb. And now just both teams here just attempting to get in positions to get this mid control so one or the other can start a push going.
Yeah, as pretty as it would look to have a knockout on that graphic instead of specific points, what's more important is just making sure that that enemy team doesn't push forward and be able to snowball like we were building up earlier. Even a lead of just 2 points is what they need, but if they're able to hold that, it's going to be a lot harder of a call as Nice Hat makes a really good push into mid, starts to get onto the tower, and they start pressing forward.
Yeah, Lord Esper here going to be the one riding the tower. And Achilles actually on the flank here is maybe going to get this pick. Nice.
It's a trade, but it works.
Yeah, that was the trade there, and Achilles doing a good job with the flank to making sure that he can get that trade. Now Crim on the Glugas, oh my gosh, dodging that bomb rush. I love the dodging the bomb rush, getting the pick, and then also following that up and getting another pick. So Crim has been doing such a good job at aggroing in and pushing and getting the picks that their team needs to get in position.
Like you highlighted coming into this how different those Glugas would be, and seeing how they offer a very different layer of pressure for this map, I think makes them such a smart pick. Pressing forward, planting the ink mines, keeping that pressure on, then eventually popping that inkjet gives such a dynamic way of controlling the map in ways that you don't really get a chance to see on a map like main stage.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It really adds a lot of pressure and points. Dre there just trying to juggle around and stay alive as best as he can. Is called out though eventually, and now actually Chalk is in a really good position as they're pushing the tower up even more. You know, even though they do have 2 members that went down, 3 members now, them keeping the tower up over here is just making it that much more difficult for Nice Hat to be able to push the tower up.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because even if you aren't able to surmount too much of a further lead, like the fact that the tower still has to travel back to a neutral position before being able to advance points just makes it all the more difficult to come back from this.
Yeah, you know, right now, Crim doing such a good job with those Glugas, getting that pick once again. But, you know, we're going into the last 20 seconds of this. There's 3 down on the side of Nice Hat right now. They're going to have to do something crazy here to get at least on the tower. They at least need to get to the tower.
talk about crazy. A really aggressive Inkjet is just making sure that this tower's staying where it needs to. I don't know if we're going to be going into sudden death. I don't know if we're going to have enough Inklings to go into sudden death.
I know, Krim here just cleaning up, doing such a good job with those Glugas. Oh my goodness. And really, really highlighting that. And, you know, Krim was aggressive. Dreas, of course, doing a really good job at following up on the aggression with that machine. And just a lot of teamwork. Oh my gosh, Krim! I cannot. He better have screenshotted that, because 24, whew.
That's kind of wild, but he earned every one of them. Like, being able to stay that forward and mobile, like, we expect mobility and pressure from dualies. That's nothing too different, but the accuracy needed to make those Glugas really have an impact is what we saw that made that game look so impressive.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Like, Glugas is more of a niche weapon, and so there has to be, like, the player playing those Glugas has to really, really know how to play it, how to position themselves, and make sure that they do all those things to get those picks. And I mean, Krim was just doing that to like the tenfold, just really, really showing that off for us.
Like, both from really solid positioning, from deciding where to put the ink mines and then where to launch the inkjet, and then being able to just stay around the tower, making sure to clear forward where necessary, fall back when the team needed most, and even keeping the point himself when necessary.
Yeah, and it looks like we're getting to see a little highlight of that. Krim just using the dually portion of the Glugas too, just to dodge and weave there to make sure that he's stay alive, but also got the pick, and then is popping off with the inkjet too. That's definitely very important too. The inkjet that it has, I mean, getting the inkjet pick and then also getting 2 other picks with the main weapon as he landed.
Yeah, I think in that last play, just seeing like the accuracy, being able to roll behind and get the pick before the other player even recognized what was going on just shows how comfortable that they were with the Gluga, which is just, it's weird. I don't get a chance to see that weapon too often, but to see it with such expertise is just really impressive. Oh, okay, so they're going to be double checking something with the tech that's on stage. So the footage that we're about to see for the game that's playing is not going to count for the score. Talking about that game, it's going to be Clam Blitz on Piranha Pit. So this is, I guess, more analogous to like a button check / tech check coming into it. But as far as the map and mode that we're going to be seeing, I feel like keeping that type of dynamic aggression fits really well to this combo.
Yeah, I think so. If you are able to keep aggression up, that allows you to keep the mid of this map really well. And if Chalk can keep that up, I can absolutely see them doing a good job. But of course, NiceHat, I think they're going to have to really think about how they want to, you know, go into this, you know, how they want to counter Gluga specifically, a weapon that you don't see a lot, so.
Yeah, and you want to know something? It really was the Glugas that made the difference because they had almost the same comps on both sides.
That's true. That's true. The only, you know, of course, Lord Esper on the Charger, you know, that's more of a typical anchor type comp compared to an anchorless comp. So that's I didn't even think about that going into that.
It's one of those things where it's like traditional layouts and game plans, like they work for a reason. It's why so many teams can sort of leverage knowing what works. And then there's that risk involved of when you want to play. I don't want to say it's a meme pick, but a very niche pick amongst niche picks.
Yeah.
And then just having that confidence to execute and compensate for what changes it from a traditional game plan. Like, I think that game one really solidified. Like, they do have that confidence to make the Glugas work. It could fill in the role that's missed from the typical layout. And seeing if that could further adapt from different maps and modes, I think that's going to be, like, the make or break on if these Glugas are just, like, here to make some noise.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw, too, like, I felt like the way that Krim's teammates were painting around them really, really helped let them be able to get away with those things. Like, of course, we saw Joke popping that bomb rush and getting a pick along with that. But that has so much map control potential if you're just bomb rushing all over to get map control like that. So that, and then they had an NZAP as well, just that paint. And then Dreas, of course, on the Kensa machine, just adding aggression. I mean, I feel like it's a really, really good combination.
Like, it all worked together really nicely. And I think, just check in with production real quick. If the tech check is good, see if we can go into, it looks like all the players are ready to come into Game 2 proper. And it seems like the spectator cam is also prepared, so this should be Game 2.
Yes, game two. And something from Nights Out I really liked was Achilles' flanks that he was able to do. I felt like they were played out really well. So if, maybe their team can capitalize on the flanks that Achilles is doing and that aggressive positioning like that, maybe potentially they could get something going.
And it remains to be seen as we see the teams load in. And here we go.
All right, so Krim going to the Glugas, but with the baller this time. So of course that definitely fits Clam Blitz. And then I didn't see what happened right away, but there is a trade that happened right away. That's a complete wipe on Nice Hat here as Krim is pushing up here to score a power climb. Is able to make a power climb really fast with their teammates' help. And they are going to go ahead and just keep up this pressure. Krim putting up a wall just to be able to hide behind that and just keep stalling out here.
Like the Glugas help with not only just going aggro for getting those picks, but also making sure that the ink doesn't get leveraged too heavily on the back line of Nice Hat, which I think is really starting to hurt them because they just don't have any safe space to retreat to. They sort of get sandwiched.
Yeah, they really do. And you can see, the way that Nice Hat is playing now, they did get a little bit sandwiched at the beginning, but they are able to come back here and start getting mid-control. Dre here going to pop this armor and start pushing up on the right side. And it's important to note, Dre's actually playing the 96 this time. I think that range difference really, really could help for this map and mode if they are able to pair up with teammates and get that RNG advantage that the 96 offers.
One thing we typically see when it comes to Clam Blitz is that initial push could very well just sort of be the last points that happens because the rest of the game sort of amounts to a chaotic firefight. It's a little bit of what we're seeing right now, but that initial push for Chalk was so good, and it looks like the one to follow is going to be really good too. We see the bubbles, we see the baller, that net is broken.
That was such good special pairing that Chalk had going there. The bubbles, the baller, Dre. Dre is going to jump in here and try and get a few more clams in. Looks like he is able to get a few more clams in, and it's just Joke left up here, but that's completely okay because the push that they had so far and the points that they have so far are just a really, really great way to start out this match.
Yeah, it further cements the lead that they have because they don't need as many extra points to break at this point. And it just further cements how comfortable they are with pushing. And when you highlight like the special usage, it's like not only are they so defensive from the baller and all the bubbles surrounding that, but that ink that follows is insane.
Yeah, the ink, if you pair, like we saw, the specials pairing also adds to all the ink that they have. And I mean, we can see, I believe it's Krim and Joke here in this mid area, just keeping that mid control. Uh-oh. I don't know what was going on there.
That was a bit of an unusual desync.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird, but we're still going.
The Kluga giveth, the Kluga taketh.
Okay.
Oh, and give they do. Picks all around, although this time Nice Hat going to be coming out the victors if they can get enough clams to break, but they're not going to get it in that initial push.
Oh, Citrus just needs one more clam in order to be able to score a clam. They have so much.
That's so unfortunate.
Map and map control right now. It looks like they do have a jump in though to get a power clam in. Citrus does have the remaining clams and is going to score in as many as they possibly can, but is finally called out by Chalk. You can see that Chalk called that out right away and called that out. We're seeing Ultron here pushing up in this wing to their teammates. They know they're in a good position to be able to score.
That was so well coordinated.
It was. The bubbles following that too, and the clams that they're able to get in continue this.
Like the way that the clams got thrown on to make sure they got the break, following in with the bubbles, making sure that they were able to keep the pressure on after that. Like, once again, it's not a lot of points, but that net's still open, and in fact, that's the knockout.
That is the knockout. What great pushes from Chalk. That was really cool to see from their perspective. And then Nights Hat, of course, was able to get that one push in, but they didn't quite have the clams to continue that. But they definitely had the potential there to get more points going.
You notice at the end, I thought we were sort of seeing the end of that play sort of peter out, but it was just one really extended play that made it look so good. And overall, 2 big plays was all Chalk needed to really cement this map for their win.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the way they pushed there, like there were only necessarily two pushes, but they were both so big. Like they were such strong pushes paired with specials. They had clams. That's the other important thing when you're playing clams is blitz, to make sure that you have that clam economy going to get the knockout.
Seeing Nice Hat get the push, they got the wipe, they got the positioning, and with only 9 clams was a heartbreaker.
I know. I was like, yes, they're gonna score, and then Citrus there had 9 clams and just needed the other one. But you could tell that in the callouts, one of them was able to call out, hey, I'm gonna be able to get the pity and jump in. So they did that, but they weren't quite able to hold that area to continue the push.
Yeah, that's one of the issues when it comes to overall communication and coordination, is like they were able to still break the net and able to get some points on, but if they were just a little bit more, literally one more clam prepared, that could have just swung into their favor completely.
Yeah.
But they had to let go of a lot of pressure in order to get the small break that they did, and that little bit of relief was all Chalk needed to make a really big play.
Yeah, you could tell that Chalk was, not only pairing specials really well, but also making sure that they were taking advantage of situations that they had. So they were recognizing really fast when they had man advantage, special advantage, and they were just playing so fast off of those situations.
We're once again getting a situation where like that momentum is just sort of really hard on one team. And we're coming into a map mode combo that really favors that snowball. It's Rainmaker time.
Ooh, Rainmaker. I was literally just going to say, I always see a Kensa Jet on this map, and Lord Esper going to follow through on that, going to come out with that Kensa Jet Squelcher. And then on the other side, the main, there's a whole bunch of weapon switch-ups. Krim on the armor version of the Galugas this time, and then a Slosher, a Deco, and also the Sploosh 7.
This has been such an interesting set for Krim especially, having a chance to really showcase all the variants. But this is just such a good play from Nice Hat. So we're going to have to see Chalk try to bounce themselves back in some way. Look at that. That's with one. Only one left. Almost seeing the entire knockout, but it's not enough.
Okay, there's so many things to highlight from this. Okay, and Lord Esper had that Stingray there to continue the push. Finally, 3 down on the side of Nice Hat, and it's just Lord Esper up. Lord Esper gonna go back, but with a lead all the way to 1 point, this is a lot of room to make up for Chalk.
The only option they have left is a knockout. And they've got the positioning to try to make it happen. They just need to survive the onslaught of specials that ends up following, and missiles aren't able to do enough. This could be the push.
Yeah, Ultron here in the back, holding the Rainmaker, trying to stay safe from the specials. We're seeing the Stingray come out from Lord Esper. Dreas, though, pushing up very aggressively to get a pick on that Stingray, getting another pick on Achilles, who drops behind him, and he's going to go ahead and burst us here to try and
not gonna
continue
pop the
this.
Rainmaker.
Yeah, Dre was right there with that Junior just to back up and get that pick. A really, really nice Junior pick.
All right, good on Dre for being able to pick up the Rainmaker, just reset the shields on it. This is a really precarious situation to be in because you need to have very tight ink control to move through that situation normally on this map. But when you have an entire firefight constantly switching around how that ink allows you to maneuver, this is a very grim comeback from Chalk, if they can make it.
Yeah, Dreas there tried to get that another burst rush off, but Achilles was right there to get that pick, and is Achilles going to get the third? He does, and it looks like there's a jump in, going to be able to get that pick as well. That's a quad for Achilles, as he's going to back up here, and he does have those missiles ready, so those could potentially be really important to just keep the other team away as they're coming back from spawn.
And in fact, that's what they're going to be doing, seeing the missiles launch out as we see the push from Nice Hat. See if they can bring that Rainmaker ever further. But it's going to reset into the water it goes to bring us to a neutral position.
Yeah, neutral position. Rainmaker back in mid, like the start of the game here. And Chalk is in control of the Rainmaker once again, as Joke here using this Bomb Rush to try and push up, get some mid map control, and potentially get some picks. Joke here pushing up. Gonna try and attempt to get some picks, but Citrus is right there to capitalize on that. And of course, the Stingray coming out from Lord Esper is gonna, I believe that's what put a stop to the Rainmaker, and gets another pick along with that.
Yeah, now, as well as Joke did to be able to press forward ahead of their team, they just weren't able to keep up the pressure. And that's just one of the hard things about trying to make those renegade plays, because the payoff would have been so big, but ultimately it just leads to the Rainmaker sort of sitting off to the side awkwardly, once again in a position where it's most likely going to reset at this point. And that could be what Chalk needs. It's a lot easier to fight for that Rainmaker in the middle.
Yeah, that's true. Just knowing that the Rainmaker is back in the neutral position is really, really good for them to know. They do have a minute and about 30 seconds left. Unfortunately, their sploosh does go down. Dreas, though, able to get this pick on Achilles, so it's essentially a 3v3. Let's see if Dreas and Krim can maybe get some picks to get a push going.
This is going to be the make or break for Chalk if they're able to get this press forward. You see a couple of picks, but it's not enough to keep the pressure up. Once again, that Stingray doing wonders for controlling where that Rainmaker can go.
Yes, like I said, I always see a custom jet sculpture on this map and mode in particular, and Lord Esper is doing a really, really good job at showing us why it's so good on this map and mode together.
There's just so many ways to move around this map that have coverage, and so many miscellaneous walls that offer you safe passage, but Stingray doesn't care about that. It offers control no matter what.
It really does. It can reach through those walls and get those picks if needed, and there's a lot of safe spaces to be able to use that. So. Ooh, Citrus there. I didn't see who got those 2 picks, but 2 down on the side of Chalk versus the 3 that's up on the side of Nice Hat. So Nice Hat is, remember, they're sitting pretty right now. They have the lead all the way to 1. They really just need to guard this Rainmaker as we go into the last 20 seconds of this. And Lord Esper, if you look up at the top right of the screen, does have a Stingray ready. So he is ready for this last 10 seconds, is going to use that Stingray.
Oh, but it was a successful flank we see from Achilles.
Yeah, Achilles getting those flanks off once again, and they are going to grab the Rainmaker. Nice Hat grabs the Rainmaker to keep it safe, and they do such a good job. They played that so well, the specials, the flank like you mentioned, and just the game sense to be able to know where they need to keep the Rainmaker was really, really well played from Nice Hat.
Just want to especially shout out how well Achilles played on that game. Look at that, 18 picks. We saw the special come out 3 times, and just constantly key positioning, overwhelming pressure from just one player. Like the rest of the team was able to follow suit so easily because Achilles was able to carve a path in every single play.
He was, and like we got to see front row seat to that. I mean, he got a quad, and he was just, doing such a good job at getting those picks that he needed, and then also keeping those missiles ready, and just having that type of game sense to know, like, hey, I need to make sure I'm getting these picks and keeping my special ready. And Achilles, we saw that to like the 10th degree.
What I think really helped facilitate that type of pressure, because going recklessly for picks could fall back really poorly on you in Rainmaker, but we saw that their team had the initial push down to 1 point, almost the immediate knockout. So playing for picks after that really just helped keep that particular type of pressure on.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about it from that perspective. Just like, okay, we literally almost have basically knocked out this Rainmaker, and we do have the wiggle room to play really aggressive. And it was really, really showing through there, and it was really paying off for them too.
What I think really helped that was the fact that where the Rainmaker ended up going, because we saw that Chalk needed to play very, not aggressively, they just had to play different with the Rainmaker to try and bounce back, because like I said earlier, there's no way out of a 1 point lead. You just need to knock out at that point. But they found themselves in really bad positions for where they were trying to bring the Rainmaker, and because of that, it led to really tight corners in all of those team fights.
Yeah, it really did, and I wonder if the weapon change-ups maybe add to that. We're gonna have to see in the next game if they switch back, but we're getting to see that front row seat view of Achilles here, getting those 2 picks, and then
that really was almost the knockout. Got picked off right before putting down the Rainmaker.
Yeah, that really was. They almost had it. And Dreas here, we're getting to see Dreas sometimes it's really good to target the Stingray, and along with targeting the Stingray like that, also got another pick along with that.
Yeah, for as strong as the Stingray is, it's not very effective when it comes to that close range play. So rushing down someone like that, a really good call, but still just wasn't enough in that position. Regardless, the set count is 2-1, so let's see how Game 4 handles us as we go into Splat Zone.
Splat Zones on New Albacore Hotel. We're seeing Joke on the CDS, and then Krim actually switching over to the Splash. Some really, really big weapon switch-ups. We're seeing the Squeezer come back for Chalk. And then on the other side, we're seeing a Pro, an E-Leader, and then sticking with that Machine and a Junior.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of open space, so the in control is going to be really important, but just also, once again, keeping that pressure on from picks is going to be pivotal to trying to press forward from the zone. We saw a lot of that earlier in the previous set, but here it's even more important because there's a lot of room to fall back on in the back line.
Yeah, there is a lot of room to fall back, and You know, we can see on the side of Chalk right now, they're trying to get their back area painted up here and getting in a position to push. Actually, Achilles, we didn't necessarily see it, but I saw Achilles, if you look over there in the back, is flanking. So that's something that Chalk is really going to have to watch out for. He's getting another pick with that flank. And is he going to be able to get another pick? He does. What a great flank. He was able to get 3 off of that. And look at the points that Nice Hat has right now.
Like, they're doing fantastically, and they have such good ink control in this space. It's going to be really hard for Chalk to be able to press forward. The fact that Achilles just outright lives behind enemy lines has to be something that gets answered by Chalk. Otherwise, we are going to see a Game 5 very easily.
Yeah, finally, Chalk here able to at least cap the zone. They knew that they just need to cap the zone, because that gives Nice Hat now that 66-point penalty, and that gives them that much more time to be able to push back into the zone and get control of the zone. So now they do have that wiggle room to try and regroup and get specials for a proper push-in.
Yeah, let's see how they can handle it as we see things get very aggressive just off site. And it causes a loss of control, but once again, Nice Hat takes the point, tries to chip away at those penalty points. Esper has especially been doing a great job in this map with making sure constantly having special charge and that there's ink for the rest of their teammates to be able to move forward.
Yeah, and then that's the added pressure of just an E-leader looking at you. I mean, something about it is a little bit scary to me. So you can see Esper here trying to space that out and make sure that the added E-leader pressure is going on. Ooh, a really interesting trade happening there. And in that trade happening, Chalk is able to follow up behind their initial trade that happened and get the zone. And with that, Achilles is the last one up for Nice Hat. And finally, Chalk is doing exactly what they do best, teaming up well together to get those picks. And now they are finally in a position to hold.
That was expertly played, because not only did we see them take the point, press forward, but this time around, they went to double check their flanks. They wanted to make sure that Achilles wasn't around to ruin the fun. So now they're able to chip away at their own points, doing well. And the fact that Nice Hat was only able to score 1 additional point meant that they are right back there with a lot of penalty points. So it's going to be kind of difficult to try and cement the KO. But if they get stop the bleeding here from Chalk, we can go into Game 5. But Chalk's doing a great job of holding the site.
Yeah, right now, though, that is a complete wipe from Chalk. Nice Hat doing such a good job at making sure they had paint before they pushed in, and then also following up on that paint and acting really aggressive through that. So we saw Citrus there doing a really good job with that Kensa machine, just adding aggression and allowing themselves to get those picks. Now, with Chalk being the ones that need to come in, we're seeing that bomb rush, we're seeing the bubbles, and we're seeing armor come out from Chalk.
Well, that's a phenomenal push, but the Booyah Bomb coming in to stop all of that momentum. Achilles doing what he can to try and stay in the face and finds the picks to match. That's a full wipe.
Achilles doing such a good job with that Kensa Pro, using that range to his advantage and just playing it so well. So finally, though, Achilles is going to get called out here by Krim, and with 1 down, let's see if Chalk is able to get in another position to push back in.
Ooh, there's a good start for that. We see the pick, we see the ink sort come out. Now, what can be done to hold this as they get the last few points that they need? And so we're going to Game 5.
Ooh, man. Nice Hat played that so well.
That's a pretty nice looking hat, if I do say so myself. That game especially, just once again, Achilles going behind enemy lines, constantly flanking, constantly making sure there's nowhere safe that Chalk could back up into, made all of those plays look so good.
They really, really did. And using the range that the Kensa Pro has, I mean, it was really, really showing through from Achilles' point of view. Like this, in particular, able to back up, stay a little bit back, but also be aggressive and just get those picks that were really, really important.
And, like, Chalk was picking up the pieces to the response to this type of play. Like, we saw multiple times there was a lot of very wide in coverage, so they had a lot of places to maneuver. And towards that last big play that they made, they started checking their flanks. They were checking their corners, making sure there was no Achilles waiting around. If they could bring that into Game 5, they may be able to cement this set, because now it's just looking like both teams are playing on fire. Yeah,
both teams are playing really well. And, I mean, I really loved the way that Chalk was playing that last game. Even though they didn't win the game, I thought their special coordination was so well. We saw Bomb Rush, Bubbles, and Armor come out all at the same time to at least cap the zone. So if they can just keep up that coordination, make sure they're, looking out for flanks, they do have the potential to win this Game 5.
And, it's nice to see that both teams are just playing super well because it's more a matter of just one-upping the better team than simply just trying to be the better team. Like, it's very clear that all 8 players involved are playing really well right now. And I think the levels of coordination that we saw on both teams from that Game 4 is going to lend itself very well coming into Game 5 because tower control on Manta Maria, that's going to mean that specials, not for the sake of inking, but for the sake of just denying space to move around, is going to be absolutely necessary.
Yeah, this tower control in Manta Maria, there's so many different areas that you have to make sure are watched, are guarded, that you're pushing into. There's, of course, the top left area. If you're not familiar with this, there's a top left area. That's really important to make sure you have people up there watching that. There's an area called the street. I'm sure that we will call out here. That's really, really important to make sure you have someone watching there. So there's just so many little areas that you have to have guarded, but also, make sure that you're trusting your teammates and allowing them to be able to control those areas together.
All right, Game 5, we see the weapons loaded out. It looks like Krim is back on the Glugas for this final match.
Oh yeah, Krim back on those blue Glugas for this final match. And once again, like you mentioned earlier, using those ink mines really, really well to help get map control and allow them to get picks. So immediately here we got to see Krim get that pick with the Glugas. And that's 3 down on Nice Hat. Such a good start coming out from Chalk here.
What makes the ink mines an especially favorite sub-weapon of mine is the fact that you could sort of make any space on a map as you press forward, like a little bit of a cushioning. Like, you want to have that backline to safely fall back on in the middle of fights, and that's pretty normal for Splatoon. But making some sort of arbitrary space ahead of you, that backline, just offers so much control for the rest of your team to have safety.
Yeah, it really does. Having the backline there just as that anchor, of course, just really, really adds that safety. We're getting to see Nice Hat here push up into this bunker area. It looks like we got a little machine 1v1 though. Drea's going to back up a little bit, just waiting for his teammates, knowing that he needs to wait to regroup. And they know too that they have the lead right now, so it's really up to them to just try and hold as best they can.
Yeah, although holding center stage in Manta Maria definitely is a bit of a tall order for any team. We already see the pick, the full wipe, in fact, off Chalk. And it just gets so haphazard so quickly in being able to control this map because there's so many tight corners that you can stand in. And the heights of the elevations here for positioning do make it difficult for some weapons to be able to fight back.
Yeah, you have to be really careful about your weapon choices because, yeah, like you said, there's so many walls you have to climb. There's so many different levels of, engagements that are going to be going on. And we're seeing, okay, Krim proving to us that, hey, Glugas can handle this, absolutely handle these different areas because he's able to just continue to get picks here.
I feel like this is a special in particular that takes advantage of this map so well because there's so many little alcoves for you to be able to just jump into, get your pick, dip to safety, because you don't have to worry about how hard it is to maneuver around this map with its tight corners. You could just go in, get your kill, and say goodbye. And you have all of that additional coverage to be able to sit in safely, but no safety against that wall. No, we see Nice Hat be able to force back, see some sort of counteroffensive.
Yeah, Nice Hat. I believe that was Dre getting that pick on Krim there with that bomb. Finally able to shut that down and allow Nice Hat to try and push up in here to mid here. We can see them trying to get mid control. That's really, really important if you want to push here. So we see the armor coming out from Nice Hat and the Booyah coming out now from Achilles, and Lord Esper is on the tower. Looks like they are going to try and start getting a push going.
Yeah, Achilles immediately following where that bomb went, try to get into the mix to get these picks. Doing a good job to break enough armor. Goes for a trade, and that's not a bad position to be in.
That is not, and that is, okay, Chalk. Finally they're doing such a good job. Dre is leading this charge right now, getting that pick to just continue this, and I think, Dreas and Krim here paired up as a deadly duo because they are just causing havoc wherever they go.
Like, it really has been like a matter of chaos across this map. No area has seemed safe to be able to hold. No area seemed safe to be able to hide even. And I feel like the constant presence of armor is just making it even more precarious as they try to hold these points, and they just can't reliably win these gunfights.
Yeah,
oh, okay. Yeah, no, we can do that too.
Of course, you can jump in with Splashdown, and that'll definitely help you get those picks like Dreas just did. So Dreas just, you can see Dreas just sloshing over these walls and not necessarily trying to get picks, but just adding that pressure is really, really important to do.
Yeah, and you know, one of the great things about Splatoon is even if you aren't 100% accurate with your shots, like that ink is still on the floor. That's still making sure that your opponents can't move forward too quickly, and they have to take that time to be able to ink ahead for themselves and the team.
Yeah, they really do, and at the 2, that adds a little bit of pressure too. You don't want to approach that machine there if you're trying to go through that area. So as we are going into the last 30 seconds of this match, it's up to Nice out here to try and get in a position to get the lead. They do have 2 down on Chalk right now, and that's 3 down on Chalk right now as Citrus is in the street here, just doing such a good job with this Kensa machine. The tower looks like Dre and Lord Esper are juggling the tower a little bit. They need to play this really safe in the last 15 seconds if they want to get the lead.
Lord Esper trying to do something with these missiles, offer some sort of alleviation, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get it. Last 5 seconds on, and will Chalk be able to take this one back? Oh no, in fact, Nice going to be able to stand on. We're going into overtime. This is make or break for Nice Hat as they try to press on forward.
This is make or break. Lord Esper, they're trying to juggle the tower, does get a trade-off, and Krim sneaking in there, getting on the tower, and getting that trade-off allows Krim to get the tower as he just tapped it.
Very impressive plays all around.
Whew. That going all the way to game 5 too. Whew, both teams, I mean, I loved the way that both teams were playing throughout. They each had their moments of playing really well. They each had their moments of highlighting, playing their synergy really well, so. Whew.
Yeah, I think that game 5 definitely left us a little bit in anticipation because it was just chaos left and right. Like, we saw how hectic the picks were. It wasn't like in previous games where we saw like maybe a full wipe or like a pick here, a pick there. No, it was cumulatively 2 to 3 picks and multiple team wipes on both sides. Just nowhere was safe to be on this map.
I know each team was doing, like, it felt like a little bit in that match. Once the lead was got by Chalk, there was kind of like a little bit of stalemate. One team would come in, the other team would wipe them, then it would happen on the other side, and that was kind of happening a lot back and forth. So each team was just trying to really get their ground to get in a better position than the other, and it was kind of just a bit of a stalemate, but I mean, I feel like both teams are trying to play it really carefully.
And the score kind of reflected that style of play too, because it was just sort of moving to one end, moving to another, very even. There was a lot of opportunity there for the match to fall to either way. It wasn't like where we saw in previous tower maps where it was just knockout or just really heavily pushed forward.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Like, this tower control map that we got to see was really back and forth, and then other games that we've got to watch on the stream so far have been, pretty obvious one side taking it. So each team was trying really hard. This was game 5. They were trying really hard to play it correctly and play